Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining today's session on future-proofing your operations with an ecosystem approach. My name is Patrick Harrigan. I lead our global partnerships and alliances here at Tulip. With me is Mark Freedman, who leads our ecosystem team. Allow us to take a little bit of time to walk through the value that we see in bringing in partners, both from a systems, applications, and software perspective, as well as a hardware perspective, into our Tulip ecosystem and ultimately delivering and deriving more value for you as a customer. So let's hop right in. I think one of the most important things to realize is when we hear the term ecosystem, what does that actually mean? And ecosystems are something that, whether we know it or not, we're a part of in our everyday lives. One of the most common examples that I often think of is the use of your cell phone. I quite often have my iPhone attached with me at the hip, as do many of you all. And the amount of companies and services and technologies that are involved to make that phone so valuable in our daily lives is actually quite astonishing. A quick example is just from a manufacturer hardware perspective, the number of different phones that exist today. And then certainly how do they leverage access and connectivity through all of the different service providers, and whether it be Wi-Fi or 5G or any other mechanism of connectivity. Once you're connected, there's a million different things you can do nowadays, whether it's via streaming content or streaming services, or the millions of different applications that you're able to download via the App Store. These are all contributed to this ecosystem from not just one vendor, not just one company, not just Apple or Samsung, but hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of third-party contributors that ultimately get together to derive additional value to the end customers. And so when we talk about an ecosystem as a whole, we're really talking about a set of companies and their complementary products that, when combined, derive additional value for the end user. We see this every day in the consumer world, but when we transition quickly to what it looks like in the industrial operations sector, we don't really see it as much. Quite frankly, we are lagging very far behind in this approach compared to our counterparts in the consumer sector, consumer technologies. As a quick example, and this is a very elementary version of the robust ecosystem that exists within manufacturing operations, but from a machine and hardware perspective, whether it's industrial equipment like our partners at DMG Mori, or even handheld equipment that are used to tighten fasteners or perform measurements, folks at Atlas Copco or any other hardware company out there. Also, from a data acquisition standpoint, how do we get data off of our machines and utilize that throughout our ecosystem, whether it's the traditional incumbents and Bosch and Siemens and ABB and many others that aren't on this list. And then how does that data interact with our enterprise systems of records, whether it's ERP or QMS or Tulip or MES? And then ultimately, how is this data communicated and transacted? What are some additional new services and modern architectures and things that we can use from a connectivity and infrastructure perspective? And your traditional hyperscalers with folks like Microsoft and AWS and Google, and your routing and switching and networking, and I can go on and on and on. And there's many other additional layers that really exist within this ecosystem. But hopefully you get the point that as it sits within the majority of our manufacturing environments today, these still operate in very disparate and siloed manners. And the traditional approach to solving this was trying to bring in one vendor to help solve not only the hardware components, but also the software, also bring in a partner to support the networking aspects. And in today's world, it's become incredibly complex with the diversity that we have across our multinational installations of factories to try to take this approach. So why an ecosystem approach now? It's certainly not a new concept, but with the advancements we have in technology and architecture and access, cloud computing, also with the expectations from our end users and how we meet those on the shop floor, what do we expect our user experience to be? Now is the right time to really focus on this approach. Now, there's really four major pillars that I want to talk about, and really these foundational components that why industrial operations and global manufacturing needs to take a step back from the traditional monolithic 1, 2, 3 vendors do everything to really exploring a lot more of the new modern technologies that exist in the market today. Frontline operations is really big. It's a major category. I think roughly 20% of the global employee workforce fits into this category. And with that comes a lot of diversity, a lot of complexity, a lot of challenges. In particular, when talking about going into brownfield environments with existing hardware, existing systems, existing infrastructure, trying to get these systems working together and these technologies working together is incredibly complex. With that, really this concept of top-down implementations or digital transformations, while successful in maybe 1 or 2 sites, holistically we see failing often. Because again, it lends itself to how do we, rather than trying to standardize across an entire global network of facilities, how do we leverage what we've already invested in historically and bring that into our workflows and processes and try to standardize using existing systems and existing hardware. Certainly, operations is inherently physical. So not just a software component to this. There's a physical nature to most manufacturing today that requires us be hands-on, whether it's assembling components or milling parts or performing visual or manual quality inspections. That still exists today. With that, we need a combination of hardware plus software to really derive new innovative solutions on our shop floors. And last but not least, certainly this concept of composability, because of the diverse nature of these systems and technologies, we have to be able to quickly compose these solutions, delivering these human-centric approaches down to the shop floor, meeting the expectations of the end user, delivering these experiences, as I alluded to earlier, on a cell phone, the ease of use. I tap 3 times and get the information I need, no matter where it sits in the world. How do we bring that within our facilities and our shop floor? I think there's an expectation for digital transformation. If we look at the number of manufacturing facilities that exist here in the US, roughly 300,000, certainly there's this expectation of fully autonomous robots everywhere, very few folks on the shop floor. We've gone through decades and decades of industrial automation, and that's led to these fully automated processes. But on the right-hand side of the screen, if you look at what the reality of the situation is, over 91% of the facilities in the US have under 100 employees. With that, you do not have incredibly large investments or the resources to fully automate these processes. And as such, exist a lot of human-centric processes today, a lot of manual data collection or no data collection. Let me show you what that looks like in our customer environments. This is actually a photo from one of our existing customers. Quite often when we're brought in or engaging with a customer or prospect, we're brought into brownfield environments. I alluded to this a moment ago. These environments exist with systems that have been in place for a decade, 2 decades, certainly don't integrate to their assets that have been there for 2 decades, 3 decades, or 4 decades. And still a lot of paper processes exist. You see a lot of devices like scales, measurement devices. If there's utilization of cameras, how does that tie into these? The utilization of things like rubber stamps for sign-off, who completed what when. None of this is tied back in real time to our systems of record or our dashboards for real-time visibility. So this is a very common current state in which we see the large majority of our manufacturing customers today. The goal is to really bring them into the future a little bit, utilizing a lot of the technologies they already have today. We call this human-centric augmentation. So think of using off-the-shelf IoT connected devices to better capture information. You see things like pick-to-light or digital calipers or digital scales or IoT-enabled measurement devices or torque wrenches that allow us to better collect this information and feed it into a workflow in real time. All of this is fully connected and integrated into our systems of record, and really bringing best of breed, best of class software and hardware providers in a pluggable format to provide a more robust ecosystem. So this is ultimately our goal. providing quicker time to value to our end users. And really, when we talk about the concept of an ecosystem, how do we start with this and continue to deliver net new innovative solutions, not only with Tulip, but Tulip plus third parties as we move forward? I think it's important to realize there's, an ecosystem or a robust ecosystem isn't made overnight, and it's certainly not done without a lot of intent and effort. And so we talk about this evolution of the Tulip ecosystem. And if we were to start from the beginning, the whole premise of this is really this quicker time to value for our customers. When Tulip originally hit the market, a very fast, innovative way to deliver no-code and low-code applications to the shop floor. As an end user or an admin or a builder, you could build anything and everything you wanted within Tulip, just as long as it remained within Tulip, right? And as we began using it and our customers are using it, our end users, we collected feedback. We began to parse out best practices and very common use cases and uses that we could begin to templatize. And again, with the intention of providing quicker time to value for our end customers. So then Mark and his team have done a tremendous job over the years developing our library, of which we have 150 or so templates and things like that are available to provide a much more rapid start to building an application. But again, holistically, the idea was it remained within Tulip. So as we transition from templatized solutions, we quickly realized that Tulip certainly needs to work in conjunction with other systems and devices and hardware that exist within our complex industrial enterprises today. We are not the only system. If you look at any enterprise architecture or diagram, Tulip is often one of many components that manufacturing operations utilizes to get their jobs done. So we need to make it open. We need to build out integrations and use cases and continue to push the envelope of the solutions that we're bringing to our customers. But we did this in a way that traditionally Tulip employees were the ones building these connectors, or our user groups were contributing and building these use cases and solutions and connectors and contributing to the ecosystem. But we never really made the jump to working with third parties directly to deliver even more robust off-the-shelf integrated solutions. And so that's really the direction we're moving towards now. And in a moment, I'll have Mark show you some great examples of some innovative partners that we've already started down this journey with. We're referring to them as shareable solutions, but in reality, it's just Tulip plus a third party where we're jointly building out these solutions. It's not just Tulip building them out and saying, now that this connector exists, you can go build whatever you want with it. It's really trying to take it to the next level of that quicker time to value. You see here on the screen, this works with Tulip logo. We envision this in the future where third-party companies, partners of our ecosystem, will be able to tout and put this logo on their software and hardware, knowing that the end users and their consumers can fully trust that will work with Tulip out of the box and deliver innovative solutions much faster. So I mentioned a couple times these new innovative solutions. A little bit of tongue-in-cheek, I'm referring to this as the new kids on the block. So there's certainly a lot of incumbents within this environment, industrial operations, software vendors, hardware vendors that have been around for many decades and have done many great things. But times have changed and architectures have changed and new companies spring up left and right. And we truly believe that there's a new realm of software and hardware vendors that will be able to rapidly change and deliver value for manufacturing operations. And we certainly want to be a part of that new cohort. As you'll see throughout the rest of Operations Calling, whether digitally or in person, many of these new vendors that we consider the new kids on the block will be represented here. And you'll continue to see more and more of these vendors be added to our ecosystem, delivering net new, innovative solutions much faster, much easier to use, much easier to access for you as an end customer. So with that, let's take it from this hypothetical, this is what the value of an ecosystem is, to actually something tangible. So allow me to again introduce Mark Freedman, who leads our ecosystem team. Mark, I'd love if you could share a quick example and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. Hey, everybody. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you all virtually here. So I want to share a story. So my background's in manufacturing. I'm the ecosystem lead here, and we believe strongly that the ecosystem is really meant to empower our frontline operations across the world here. So I want to share a quick example about Andon. For those who don't know what Andon is, literally is a lantern. It's meant in it's descended from Toyota Production System. I'm a lean guy, and what this means basically is if a cell or work center has an issue, the associate should be empowered to pull a cord and quite literally stop the line. And usually this is associated with a light, so it just would be red. And this is a problem. This means we need to do rapid problem solving, and it's critical to a well-functioning cell. They say if a cell that never stops is one that has no problems or a lot of problems. So in this case, I tend to believe that a cell that it should stop. Anyway, here's a story. The story is a facility I worked in. We were running a Kaizen event, and at this assembly line, you'll notice that there are stack lights throughout it at each workstation. We were running a Kaizen event, trying to reduce inventory, and we really wanted to bring the inventory levels really as tight as we could. And we wanted to empower associates to pull a cord if they ran out of any materials, because we wanted to work on that material punishment system. But those lights, we didn't know how they turned on. So we followed the cords, and they ended up leading to a box, a gray box on the wall. We asked, who set these things up? Who set these? When's the last time we used these? Oh, we used them maybe 5 years ago. They stopped working. We had this electrical engineer, Gary. He was brilliant. He set them up. So let's open the box. And what did we find? We found some electrical engineer, brilliant guy. He made a lot of cool stuff in the facility, but no one in the company there was equipped to understand how this box worked. And we really didn't know how to turn these lights on. And really, it's simple. It should just be a light, literally a lantern. You should be able to pull a cord, a light turns on. You should be able to see, as a production floor supervisor, all of your cells, visually manage them. They should be green or red, and that's how you can react. So what was the result? What did we end up doing? What happened at Gemba? We used flags. We laminated construction paper and taped them to sticks. And believe it or not, this is the reality. So what Patrick, now, of course, different facilities are at different levels of digitization and their maturity, but the expectation reality, there's a mismatch here. People are looking for solutions, easy solutions. I can go to, and this speaks a little bit to the ecosystem, but I can go to Best Buy and I can buy any old light bulb and it'll say it works with Samsung, works with Google, works with Alexa. I'm pretty confident that whoever makes that light bulb, I can get it working with my system. And that's not the case necessarily in manufacturing. So what do you see currently when you go just searching the web for what people are doing to solve this problem? I want a light. And, I actually also want to record when it went down. I want that data. I want to integrate it into my workflows. I want to send a signal to somebody when the light goes down, and I want to know how long it was down for how many reasons, and so on. I want to Pareto those. So let's just do a quick search on the internet and look. Here's what you'll find. Process engineers, they want a community to lean on when looking for solutions. A lot of these people are fresh out of college. Maybe they were never, depending on what education they've had or where they came from, maybe they don't have, an education in PLCs. Maybe they aren't electrical engineers, but they want to use these devices. So they're looking for solutions. And I paraphrased the comment to the left here, so I'll just read it instead of reading the whole thing. But basically, my previous company had a programmable light, and it was really flexible. I'm not sure how to use the ones I'm finding online. One of the reasons I want to use a programmable light, stack light like this was to minimize the number of input-output required to operate it. Even a very basic stack light is going to require 7 outputs, which is too complex. I just want something simple that wouldn't require a bunch of inputs and outputs. This is the message. And we hear you loud and clear. I mean, these are lights. We're talking about literal light bulbs connected to smart devices. This is something you can do in 20 minutes and $30 at Best Buy in your home. Why can't you do it in manufacturing? So let's look at some of the stuff that's out there. If you go on Amazon, you can search Andon lights. You'll find a bunch of, hardware, just simple lights, but $20, $40, maybe some of them have some wireless capabilities, but it's just hardware. You're going to have to come up with a way to integrate this into your workflows. It's not just that I want to turn the light on. We want to go beyond that. We want to actually record, why did it go down? I want to send a text message to somebody. I want these workflows. This hardware may be great, but what do I plug it into? Then you have specialty vendors. So SignaWorks as an example, great company, I'm sure. I haven't personally used them, but if you look in the top right there, you can see there's a, they have this proprietary system. It has some sort of dashboard. It communicates to some server. That's great, but, does that connect to everything else that I'm looking for? What if I want to change that? How do I even get started with this? Do I want to get locked into this, point solution? I really just want a light bulb. And here I am calling someone to ask for, to talk to a sales rep to figure out how I can get this system built in. And then finally, I can do an end-to-end sort of traditional approach where this is Bell. They have tons of different options here. They have all kinds of equipment and devices. They make all sorts of things, including any type of stack light you might want. And it plugs into, this is something that I'd have to read the spec sheet, figure out how to incorporate this. I probably have to use some sort of proprietary, they probably have their own tech stack of IO link type digitization here. So, for me getting started as a process engineer, I don't really know what to do. And I can totally understand why I would be reaching out on Reddit or reaching out in the community. So what do we think the future looks like, and how do we imagine Tulip can help in this scenario? Well, first of all, you shouldn't feel that you're locked into any of these. You should be able to choose any of them, and they should all be able to work. If it's already existing, if it's already installed, that's fine. We're here to help. So what we want to do basically is make these composable solutions available, and we want to decentralize that offering. So if you look to the left here, you'll see a splash page on Tulip's website. You could search Andon Solutions, and what you'd see is our take on how we can support you in your journey here. We explain what Andon is. We explain that you can connect using any third-party devices. You can use our own device if you choose to. We have an edge device that allows you to control LED strips, all with no code. You could use that. Maybe you have a Wi-Fi offering instead of having like a Wi-Fi light bulb. We have a selection of featured devices. So Banner, a partner of ours, who will be at Ops Calling, they'll have all kinds of different options, like lights that are buttons and all sorts of great devices. We'll show you examples of how you can get started with those. We have just a simple Wi-Fi bulb you can buy from Amazon that you can hook up to Tulip, as well as our light kit and other vendors. We show you those examples, as well as application content, the workflows. We want to go beyond the light, really. And what that means is maybe you want an application that your operators can use. Maybe you want unit tests that show you how to use that light bulb. Maybe you want to see a tutorial on how to handle Andon escalations and this sort of thing. All this information should be available to you so that you can create the solution that you're looking for and have support the whole way through. That's why we are taking this approach where you have university courses, thought leadership articles. We have a list of supported devices and links to the manufacturers, demo videos you could watch, templates you can download, tutorials, university courses, all this stuff to support you in your journey and whatever tools you want to use. There's also an open discussion and community. So, instead of posting on Reddit or posting wherever, you could just reach out to the Tulip community and have support. If the electrical engineer left or whoever was setting it up before, hey, I'm using this app and I need some help, community can help you with that, as well as freely searchable content in the library. The library is always free and open to search. You could type in the word Andon and just go looking around. So this is how we see the ecosystem. It's something that empowers the people who build frontline operations. We see that there's a really big opportunity here to support industrial operations with an ecosystem. So thanks a lot for joining. Really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. Take care.